So we've had the new Toyota Tacoma, the 2024 Tacoma, for quite a while now, and there are a few things that Toyota needs to improve, I guess, in this new truck, which isn't surprising. I mean, it's a newly remodeled truck, right? There's always going to be things out there that have to be tweaked a little bit, right? And hopefully Toyota is paying attention to us, the buyers out here, when we tell them that these things do need a little bit of improvement. Let's go ahead and run through the list. First of all, the passenger side grab handle, or almost lack thereof, right? I'm talking about right here, this. I mean, unless you're familiar with the truck like I am, and you know that when you get in, you're supposed to wrap your fingers around the top of it, because there is a pretty good edge right here. You're going to try to grab right here. And when you do that, inevitably your fingers are going to slide off, right? You might even fall. I would think having it designed this way is probably more of a safety hazard than it is for good, right? If anything, they should have done away with this slot, I suppose, and just left the top part where you could actually grab on. It'll be interesting to see if Toyota does anything with that. And then, of course, over on the driver's side, we get nothing. That means you have to grab the steering wheel if you're trying to brace yourself getting in and out of the truck. Now, that's not really a big deal, except I don't like that it puts extra wear and tear on that steering wheel, right? Ever seen a used vehicle with a really ratty looking worn out steering wheel? That's what's going to happen in the new Tacoma, I think, if they don't give us a better way or something else to grab onto when you're getting in and out of the truck. Next up, the seat lever. Now, this only applies, of course, if you have a manual seat in your Toyota Tacoma. What I'm talking about is right here. This one, not the one in the back. This one's just fine. But unfortunately, when I get in and out of the truck, I'm always sliding over this thing because the seat goes down, right? And it goes down enough that it's pretty much below where this lever is. That means my rear end is always pushing down on this lever when I'm getting in and out of the truck, both ways, right? The problem is, and you can see I did it once, but there was 3 or 4 pulls, if you will, to get the seat back all the way up. I do drive with it all the way up because I like the position that it gives me. But the problem is I have to do that pretty much every time I get in the truck because I slide across here, my rear end pushes down on this, and it lowers the seat. I think what Toyota needs to do is either lower the level, or the lever rather, down in this area somewhere so that it's below this edge so that at least you don't catch it, then you'd be riding across here, right? Or maybe make this a solid panel across here and have the lever right over here on the edge. I think that would be a much better solution than what we have. It really is just an annoying feature, I suppose, but nonetheless, I do get sick of that happening pretty much every time I get in and out of the truck. Next up, the bouncing hood. This makes the truck feel cheap, honestly. When you're driving down the road and you see the hood doing this, it's just not a good look for the truck, right? Now, I'll show you a little bit here. I mean, I can actually move the hood. I don't know if you can see it or not, but that's just with me pushing on it. And I'm not really killing it either. And you can see if you look at the gap right here between the scoop and the hood, how much movement I get just doing that. I wonder how long it'll be before the paint starts to wear off from the two surfaces rubbing. Another problem I can see with having a hood that has flex as much as this new Tacoma does. What do they need to do? Probably put a little bit better bracing on that hood, I would think. I don't know that you really want to add a lot of weight, and I'm certainly not advocating going back to an all-steel hood. That's going to take away from fuel economy, of course, power, and also just make the hood a heck of a lot heavier to lift it up and down. Next up, we got to go back inside the truck. Let's go over on this side. This crazy center handle that we have in here. I don't know what the purpose of this is, right? I mean, I guess it's a place to grab if you need to get in and out of the truck. But frankly, it doesn't do anything. It's kind of in the way from the driver's side, I think. You can't really reach down in here very well when you're sitting in the truck. I mean, I suppose you can from the side, but to me, it's always looked out of place. I really don't understand why it's there at all. If nothing else, I'd rather just have it completely eliminated. Cut it off right down here, cut it off right here, and then give me full access in a full open center console area. I think it would look better too. So it's an aesthetic thing as well. Now, as far as its security, I mean, look how much it moves. The whole center console area. Now, I know it's just held on there basically by pins, but we get a lot of movement out of this thing, right? How many times somebody pulling on that do you think it's going to be before it really creates a bigger problem? Next up, the bed liner, the spray-in bed liner. Of course, I have a mat in my truck, which I would always do anyway, but for some reason, Toyota has this spray-in bed liner option on a composite bed. This bed, which you can see right here, is composite. It is plastic. So while you might argue that, yeah, it gives a little bit of protection to the plastic, you know, from scrapes or indentations and things like that, it's an added expense that I don't think we really need in the truck. I think a bed mat is all you really need in the truck. And by the way, since we're talking about bed mats, Lasfit has this one and it fits really, really well. I would just get rid of it altogether. I know that it is an option. It doesn't come on every truck, but it seems to me more often than not, Toyota goes ahead and just throws it in there, right? I think it's crazy. Lastly, number 6, the gravel guard. What I'm talking about is the guard that on my truck was right down here. They don't give us a skid plate. Remember, it used to be that we had this metal, small, albeit fairly useless, but nonetheless, metal plate that went across the front of the truck. Something that you always took off if you were going to add the TRD skid plate or maybe an aftermarket bumper, something like that. But now we have that chintzy, composite, cheapo gravel guard. And it tells you how cheap it is and that Toyota doesn't even refer to it as a skid plate anymore. They call it a gravel guard. My question is how big do the pebbles have to be before that thing becomes useless and stones fly right through it and potentially damage anything that's behind it underneath the truck, like your oil filter. You know, the last thing that you'd want to have happen is some sort of a puncture of that oil filter, lose all your oil because Toyota cheaped out and went with this composite gravel guard under the truck. I think at the very least, they need to go back to an all-metal piece. I know they're not going to throw TRD skid plates on every truck, but they could at least go back to a metal material, something that gives us a little bit more strength under the truck, particularly for people who don't want to do anything aftermarket. I don't know. Anyway, those are just a few areas that I think Toyota has room for improvement, things they need to improve on the 2024 Tacoma. We'll see if they do any of that once the 25s come out. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Do you agree or not? I'd just be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.